Or what's this block of code mean? Right now in Remix, oh! The cool thing now is that this is going to be, a clicker, that you've kind of heard the extemporaneous version without the slides. So now when you see the slides, I guess we can kind of whip through them, but maybe it'll offer a little bit more capacity to, I have no idea. Let's find out. So, how do we educate the world on Web3? But who's the world? Well, the world's devs and Web3 devs, Web2 devs, and non-devs, which is like really a weird way of looking at the world, but in these kind of conferences, that seems to be what it is. So, but maybe as also members of the world, like organizations and companies, and how much like of education of the world involves like educating large or small organizations. I kind of didn't put small because I thought maybe small companies would be like already Web3 companies or harder, like either they're going to stay, well, I don't know, maybe I was overthinking it. So large or small or organizations or companies, but they may be part of the keys to adoption by the society of the Web3 stuff. You know, it's kind of in contrast to the cypherpunk or like being more individualist, like this is protection for me, but these are systems that could help all parts of society. And how are people learning now? Well, that's what I just went over, on their own, in person, in the news. And we went over that. And also there's like this problem of crypto blather, of like, people use all these phrases all the time, and people, you know, trustless, like, I don't want to trust something that's trustless. Like, why would you want to put money in something that's trustless? I mean, you can kind of parse it and make some sense out of it eventually, or maybe not. And so the point here is, well, actually the point here is that the crypto term list, which exists, it's a list of crypto terms, their definitions, and also how to translate these terms into different languages, which we'll go into a little bit more later on about translating Remix and also other tools. Yeah, and so it's also like there's the crypto vocabulary, but there's incorporating the crypto vocabulary into like an industry's vocabulary. And that's like really essential, but it also involves some kind of liaison with the industry to like understand how this world fits into their world, and then to teach, this is like really important for teaching people who are not devs about this Web3 world, is by adopting their vocabulary and the way their work processes with this Web3 work processes. And also, like, part of this education is going to have to involve certifications for Web3 work. And like, I'm a certified Ethereum engineer or something like that, or a certified Ethereum administrator, or I know there's all this sort of stuff. People are talking about it. Companies are starting up about it. It also could have lots of use. I'm not going to talk about that, but it also could have lots of use cases of like you get a certification, which gives you like a soul-bound NFT, so that you can. It's a NFT that says that like, you've accomplished something, and if you change addresses, you can still transfer it, but only to yourself or something like that. And so that you can show people that you actually are certified. Maybe this like kind of hooks into something like LinkedIn, so that you show like your diploma there, but it's also an NFT, so it's crossing between different, you know, Web 2, Web 3, piece of paper. Also, like, who's too young for Web 3 education? We were talking about like teaching kids in high school, like, I mean, I guess it's part of financial literacy in a certain way, or upcoming financial literacy, but also, like, if I'm talking too fast, you know, stop me or slow me down or something. Sometimes I get worked up. And so this is like go back into how to get help. and it's kind of interesting, like, when you try to Google a lot of problems in, at least for Remix, you go to Google and you get to Stack Overflow. We don't really tend to monitor Stack Overflow that much. So you're getting answers. Anyway, then there's like our own Discord servers, which is probably the best way to ask questions about something in Remix. And then, of course, there's like scouring our documentation or other documentations. You know, and the way software seems to work is like the coders are coding madly at something. The documentation writers are not either speaking very closely with the coders or there's a kind of lag between when documentation gets up to date. That's why, like, all this AI stuff is really great because, you know, it can help guide you through what's going on in the code and give you a lot of clues. And let's see what I got here. Oh! So now we're back to, like, Remix stuff. So because Remix is this online IDE, there's no setup. So it's often used, like, to get people going quickly. And it's a cool tool. At least I like to think so. And so it's, like, making it easy so it loads quickly. And, I mean, it works out of the box. And making it tangible, so that means, like, you click and you see your response. And that's good for beginners, and it's good for introducing people to this concept. And also keeping it somewhat complicated, because it's complicated stuff. And it's for making smart contracts. Has a UI. Everyone learns with it. It's for, well, here, let's go into beginner devs. That's the click and see. Yeah, those are the 3 parts of beginner devs. Like, you got to get Solidity under control and learn some blockchain paradigms, learn about loops and limitations and stuff like that. Yeah, and so then Remix is great for checking out low-level stuff too. Oh no. Oh yeah, so there are these tutorials inside of Remix, which are nice because that's the learning tutorials. There are all these ones there. There's going to be more and more. But these are like, the cool thing about this world is like, these ones are, you load these repos into Remix. So these are our repo of tutorials, but other people could write these tutorials. And as well, I forget what I was going to say. But anyway, oh yeah. So they also refer to other sources outside of this tool. So it's kind of good. Like, you can play with the contracts inside of here. There's lessons, like, teaching you stuff. But then there's also other sources. So you have to get your information from lots of different sources. And this is like going through some of just the Solidity course. And they're kind of step-by-step stuff. So you can see the answer. You can do some work, check your answer. But it doesn't keep track of where you are. Like, this is I mean, I don't know if anyone still uses crypto zombies anymore. Does anyone? Does anyone know about it? Yeah, it was like it's an amazing tool, but it's like hard to extend. It's very gamified learning Solidity. Remix isn't, the Learn It stuff isn't, but it means that it's easier to write, so it's easier to update, and people can write their own versions of it and load it into Remix. And then beginning devs, like, always need to read through code. So, like, Remix has a bunch of templates. And actually, we just launched the semaphore template, a ZK, with Circom ZK proof stuff. So that's kind of for a higher level, or for people who want to start looking into ZK proofs, there's some code there. You got to clone repos. You can do that easily in Remix. You can read through verified contracts. And then there's this kind of trick where you take the Etherscan URL and you put a Remix URL there, and it loads that contract into Remix. And then you go through code libraries like Cookbook. There's a plugin for that. And like in the debugger, you can see like the relationship between the opcodes and gas costs. And then there's getting help from videos and friends and AI and stuff. So we're working on a large language model in Remix. So it'll be hopefully like a Copilot So we'll see how that develops. Then there's an easy way of getting to the documentation, which is always important. And I'm kind of amazed, like, I think most people don't actually read the documentation. And the trick in all these tools is, like, you make all these features, but sometimes people don't know about the features. So that's a big quandary for us, about how to get the word out about our features. And so this is some of the ChatGPT stuff inside of Remix, where you can right-click on some code, and you can, if you right-click inside the function, it'll say explain this function, and then it'll print out what the function means, which is, you know, great for trying to understand what a lot of contracts are about. And then compiler errors too. Just like there's all these errors thrown at you all the time, and it takes a while to understand what they mean. And then to get help from a friend when you're working on your own, there's lots of ways you can like push it to. You can push a repo to GitHub, or you can like make a gist and then send them a URL over the gist, and then they could load that in Remix, or just load the gist and look at their gist, and they can check the code and give you a little help. And then like quick fixes, like I always had problems with the pragma statement in Solidity. I would always type it wrong. Now, if you just leave it out, like you'll get a quick fix prompts. These are the quick fix stuff, but they're just like silly errors. A lot of programming is just like taking care of the silly errors, and it's kind of boring to like look through this to find the silly errors. But these are this way of it'll just take care of it for you, as long as you click that little blue ball. And if you don't, you're stuck. And then getting the Remix UI and Remix documentation into Turkish or any other languages. Like right now, well, a lot of projects are kind of resist putting info in other languages. But I found that it's like really engages the user community. So I like it. And now Remix is in 4 languages. But it just could easily be in like hundreds, like Ethereum.org. Because I mean, how's the Ethereum.org in Turkish? Is it pretty good? Does anyone know? Good. So if you want to help on Remix translation, you can go to this. We use Crowdin, and you can sign up there for one's for the UI of Remix, and one's for the documentation, and we can start getting a Turkish language version of the Remix documentation, even Learneth tutorials, which are not in Crowdin, but they will be soon, and then, but also just UI and documentation. Yeah, I talked about that. And then I talked about making your own Learneth tutorial. So if you're teaching a class, and you can teach the same class over and over, it could be nice to use Learneth as your learning platform. And you know, there's other learning platforms out there. It doesn't like keep track of student work, and students can't like submit answers inside of Learneth to you. But you know, it's a good teaching tool. And so there's this other. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, this is like teaching famous hacks. So have you guys had that sort of class or lesson in anything? I think it's a bit like famous chess moves. But like you can, you create some transactions, then you hit save here in the deploy and run, and then you get this JSON file of all your transactions. And so you can do like how a hacker stole some money, and then you can have the class like go through the steps of the procedure of how they stole the money. And you know, it's good to security audit in the class. Yeah, we've gone through that. And then for keeping experienced devs up to date, it's like now from going from click, 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 you know, all this GUI stuff inside Remix, there's also a lot of scripts. So it's important to go step by step as you're starting, and then to start incorporating scripts into your work as you get more and more advanced. And also there's this concept of like you code a bit, but you got to keep setting the state of your contract. And you can do that with the script really easily. So then you could, there's a button called, where is it? There, compile and run. So then you compile the project, and then it'll set the state of your project with a script. And so, yeah, it's this problem of, how do you teach people about Remix? We add more features. People not really looking at the documentation, not looking at our release notes, although I'd be honored if you did because I write them. Anyway, so that's our kind of challenge. And that's it. Thank you.